Hello everybody. I wanted to give you all a little update on what's going on with the coronavirus situation and how it's affecting the world. Not only my neck of the woods here in the Philippines, but also elsewhere, because every country is being affected by it very differently, and also every country has its own plans on how they are going to go about combating the situation. Here are some updates by the numbers according to the latest information available online. The top 5 countries with the highest number of cases in the world are the United States with over 85,000, China with over 81,000, Italy with over 80,000, Spain with over 57,000, and Germany with almost 44,000, although they are reporting only 267 deaths, which is interesting because that is very different from the rates that other countries are reporting in relation to their cases. These numbers are constantly being updated, and it's anyone's guess what the numbers really are, because testing is definitely a shortage in just about every country. There is no place in the world, not even in South Korea or in China or anywhere else, that practices aggressive testing measures that is really up to date with the statistics around the whole country. A lot of people, they don't even show any symptoms, and yet they still get to infect other people. Wuhan, China, where the virus first appeared, has been locked down for more than 6 weeks, and many other cities are still facing travel restrictions. As the coronavirus continues to spread, some countries are putting their citizens on lockdown, which ranges from mandatory geographic quarantines to non-mandatory recommendations to stay at home. As the virus continues to spread around the world, some countries are putting their citizens on lockdown, which ranges from mandatory geographic quarantines to non-mandatory recommendations to stay at home, closures of certain types of businesses, or bans on events and gatherings. China was the first to implement a quarantine, which became the largest in human history, to try to contain the coronavirus, locking down at least 16 cities by the end of January. By this week, India, France, Italy, New Zealand, Australia, Poland, United Kingdom, and the US, as well as a long list of other countries, have implemented the world's largest and most restrictive mass quarantines. As of recording of this video, about a third of the world's population is in some kind of quarantine. In most of these countries, this means that only essential services such as food stores and pharmacies will remain in operation. But each country is taking their own approach to this. In a break from common practice, the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, said that he wanted to keep Australian schools open, but parents can keep children at home if they wanted. The federal government is saying that it is safe for students to attend school throughout the rest of the term. However, different municipalities are creating their own plans with a mix of distance learning and in-person instruction. The Kingdom of Jordan has implemented the strictest form of lockdown anywhere in the world, but in the hours before people were supposed to be isolated from each other, they were pressed shoulder to shoulder buying bread and milk as well as other goods from stores in the last hours that they had a chance to do so. Currently, anyone caught outside for any non-emergency reason is subject to 1 year in prison. To cope with the demand for basic necessities, the government is planning to have delivery services in place as soon as possible. There's no telling just how successful that will be. In other news, the 3 Chinese mobile phone companies that operate 1.6 billion lines in the country have reported a loss of 21 million subscriptions. Although a part of that can be explained by people dropping their work accounts, your guess is as good as mine how such a large number of mobile lines have been disconnected in the span of just 3 months. And here in the Philippines, about 1/4 of all the deaths that are attributed to the coronavirus are medical practitioners. They're the people on the front lines that are trying to save people's lives, but they're the ones that are putting themselves most at risk. Different countries also have different practices when it comes to testing their people. Countries such as South Korea decided that it is best to have the clearest number of all cases by testing all the people that they can get to. So they were testing as many as 10,000 people a day. Other countries are taking a wait-and-see approach and waiting for people to have serious symptoms before they check themselves into a hospital or a medical clinic in order to look for a test, because testing kits are currently very scarce in many countries in the world, especially the United States. It is a pretty desperate balancing act to try to not crash the world's economy and at the same time save as many people as possible. Some countries are taking things more one direction or another, but one thing is clear: the best way to keep people safe is to keep them away from each other and to limit the amount of mass gatherings, to close down non-essential businesses, and to have people just stay at home as much as possible. At the very least, there's going to be one aspect of the economy which is going to be having a nice healthy boost from the coronavirus, and that is the streaming services such as Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, as well as others. Because of all the people staying at home to watch shows and movies rather than going out and traveling. Netflix alone is expected to be getting 7.5 million new subscribers just in this first quarter alone. 500,000 from the United States and Canada, and about 7 million internationally, which is definitely beating their forecasts. Live TV shows, on the other hand, are dealing with a major downturn. Not since right after 9/11 have so many networks and shows had to change course so immediately. Within just the last week, a whole host of TV productions with in-person audiences, such as talk shows, first started to tape in empty studios or had to have the host make a recording straight from home, and in many cases had to shut down the production altogether. Because studios and networks decided it's just too risky for in-studio production to continue, they decided to minimize the risk by putting their shows on hold. These must be some very painful decisions that just had to be made, as for every day that a business stops, it loses more money than most people can imagine. And yet, most of the people in charge do realize that by not closing down their businesses temporarily would risk unleashing an even much bigger catastrophe, one that will cost more than just money, but people's lives as well. Anyone who thinks that it's more important to keep the economy running as if everything was okay is clearly not aware of the Spanish flu pandemic that swept through the world at the end of World War I, at the end of 1918, and had cost upwards to 100 million people's lives worldwide, which is more than all the major wars in history of the modern world combined. We need to continue to practice social distancing and wait until it's safe to go back to work and work on repairing the economy, which is sure to take a major hit. If not, this pandemic can grow into the biggest humanitarian disaster that the world has seen in the last 100 years. In the meantime, everyone should stay home and deal with the situation the best way they can, so that we can all have a brighter future ahead. Pick an indoor hobby, watch exercise videos and improve your health, read some of the books that you have been putting off all this time, and binge watch some of the many excellent shows that are available online. And this is where I'm going to close out this video. Please always take care of yourselves and each other, especially in these difficult times. And hit the like button if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And you'll always keep on getting more videos coming at you from the Time-Lapse Traveler.